This could be your future. A life where money is not a constant source of anxiety but a quiet tool, working invisibly in the background, freeing your time, your choices, and your energy. And it doesn't begin with extraordinary intelligence, luck, or income, but with an almost forgettable habit formed decades earlier. Back when Sarah was 25 and living in a small apartment with mismatched furniture, student loan bills that felt endless, and the persistent fear that no matter how hard she worked, she would always be one unexpected expense away from slipping backward. Because, like most people, she believed investing and financial freedom were reserved for others, people with better timing, more money, or insider knowledge. Until one ordinary lunch break, when a calm coworker nearing retirement casually explained how his life changed not through brilliance or stock tips but through a simple idea: compound interest, the concept that money, when given enough time, begins to reproduce itself, turning patience into leverage and consistency into momentum. And though the explanation felt almost too basic to matter, it lingered, especially the realization that the real secret wasn't how much you invest, but how long you stay invested. And after days of doubt and second guessing, she opened a retirement account, chose a broad, low cost index fund, and automated a $50 monthly contribution. An act so small it felt insignificant, an amount so unimpressive it barely registered emotionally. And for years, it seemed to confirm her skepticism because nothing dramatic happened as life unfolded with promotions that never felt big enough, marriage, children, repairs, bills, layoffs in the news, markets rising and crashing, moments when the account balance dropped sharply, and fear whispered that quitting would feel safer. Yet she stayed month after month, paying her future self first, even when it felt inconvenient, boring, or irrational, while the years quietly stacked her contributions. Slowly increased as her income grew. The market recovered from every downturn it had ever faced, and the account faded into the background of her life. Not because it was unimportant, but because it had become inevitable, a silent engine compounding while she lived. And though compared to flashy bonuses, speculative bets, and luxury purchases, her progress looked unimpressive for a long time. She was unknowingly laying the foundation for a transformation that only time, not effort, could unlock, until somewhere around the 20th year, something subtle but profound shifted, and she noticed that the account was growing faster than she could contribute to it, that the gains from compounding were outpacing her deposits, marking the moment when the snowball she had pushed for decades finally tipped downhill under its own weight and began accelerating, compounding upon itself through her 40s and 50s as each dollar earned interest. And that interest earned more interest, turning restraint into momentum and patience into power, until the numbers stopped feeling abstract and became life-altering. And by the time retirement arrived, the account showed $1.8 million, despite the fact that only a fraction of that total came from her paychecks, revealing that the majority of her wealth was created not by labor, but by time itself. And what that money represented wasn't excess or extravagance, but sovereignty, the ability to retire without fear, to move closer to family, to travel without guilt, to help loved ones without destabilizing her own security, to say yes to life instead of no to risk. While the deeper lesson emerged that the true enemy of wealth is not volatility or bad years but impatience, panic, distraction, and comparison. Because market crashes are not threats but opportunities. Inflation silently punishes idle cash. And most people fail not because the strategy doesn't work, but because human psychology rebels against slow progress in a world addicted to immediacy. Where boredom feels like failure, fear masquerades as prudence, and excitement is mistaken for intelligence, leading people to time markets, chase trends, hoard cash, and abandon consistency at the very moments when staying the course matters most. Never realizing that the real battle of investing is not against the market but against one's own impulses, because the market recovers as it always has. But broken habits rarely do, and the investors who succeed are not those who feel confident, but those who remain consistent when confidence disappears. Understanding that every downturn plants the seeds of future growth, and every month stayed invested compounds not just money but trust in the process. Until eventually the story expands beyond money entirely. Because what Sarah truly built was stored time. Time she no longer had to sell. Time she could redirect toward relationships, health, curiosity, and contribution. And this is the quiet truth at the heart of compounding. Wealth is not about accumulation but optionality, about converting decades of small disciplined decisions into freedom later in life, freedom that ripples outward into children who grow up without financial fear, families stabilized by choice instead of stress, and legacies defined not by extravagance but by security and agency. Which is why starting late is still infinitely better than never starting. Why imperfect consistency beats perfect intention, and why the real cost of inaction is not missed returns but missed futures. Because time will pass whether you invest or not, decades will move forward regardless. And the question is not whether compounding works, but whether you allow it the opportunity. Because one day you will arrive at the same age regardless. And the only difference between regret and relief will be whether you planted the seed and let time do what it has always done: grow something far larger than its beginning.